Hi everyone. In today's challenge, we are going to solve this problem. The problem name is check if there is a valid partition for the array, and the problem number is 2369. Alright guys, so first of all, what we are going to do? We are going to clearly understand the problem statement first of all. After understanding the problem statement, then we will move to the logic part. And in the logic part, we are going to see what? We are going to see how we can solve this problem, what is the logic and algorithm we are going to use to solve this problem. So everything we are going to discuss in the logic part. After understanding the logic part, then we will move to the implementation part. And in the implementation part, we are going to implement our logic in Python, C++, Java, and JavaScript programming language. Fine, guys. And guys, if you want to have a look on the solution, which I'm going to write in this video for Python, C++, Java, and JavaScript programming language, I will share one link in the description. You can go through that particular link. You can find all the solution over there, right? Fine. Now let's see what this problem says. So let's move to the first part, problem statement. So problem says you are given a zero and axis integer array nums, right? So we are given one zero and axis integer array called nums, right? So input is clear, right? So for input is only one thing, that nothing but one array, right? Fine, and the array name is nothing but nums. I hope it makes sense. So we are given one input, that is array, and they are calling array as a nums, right? Now you have to partition the array into one or more continuous subarray. Now what we have to do? We have to partition this nums array, right? This nums array into one or more, right? One or more means more than one or one subarray, and there should be continuous subarray, right? So if you're not getting this, let's see that. So let's say we have two, let's say 3 4 7 7. So we have this array, right? So now this array we can partition into one subarray, so that means writing same thing over here, or into two subarray, three subarray, four subarray, more than one subarray, right? So let's say I'm partitioning into two subarray. So what I can do, I can say I'm taking this one and this one, right? It is up to you how you can partition this particular subarray, right? So I partition this particular nums array into two subarray, that is one is having 2 3 4, second is having 7 and 7. So this is nothing but a continuous subarray, right? You can see. So we have partitioned this nums array into continuous two subarray, 2 3 4 7 and 7. And remember, this is subarray, not subsequence, right? So we have to partition into one or more continuous subarray. Fine, now we have done this. Now we call a partition of the array valid if each of the obtained subarrays satisfy one of the following condition. So guys, now what it says, now we can say our partition is valid when our all subarray which we got, right? You can see I got only two subarray. So these two subarray follow these three particular condition, 1 2 and 3 condition, right? Otherwise we will call it a invalid subarray, invalid partition, right? So let's see our this partition is a valid or not, right? So I having a this array nums, this was my array, and this was my subarray, right? I have partitioned to two subarray, this is and this. So let's see whether these two subarray are following this three condition or not, right? So let's see first condition. The subarray consists of exactly two equal elements. The subarray consisting of exactly two equal elements. So simple thing, guys. If our subarray having a two length, right? If our subarray having a two length, then these two that element in that subarray should be equal, right? You can see in the example, this is my subarray. I have partitioned this into two parts, right? This 7 7, right? So this is my one of subarray which I have partitioned from this num subarray. So you can see the length is 2 only, right? And you can see both the element are equal. That means this is following a condition, right? I hope it makes sense, right? It is a following a condition. Now the second condition was the subarray consisting of exactly three equal elements. If your subarray consisting of exactly three equal elements, right? So let's say you have a subarray which are having three length, right? So if they are having a three, all the elements in that subarray is equal, right? Then we can call this is also following a condition, right? So just for now you are understanding the condition when we call a particular subarray is valid or not, right? So if your subarray having a two length, we have already seen if the length of my subarray is 2, then both the elements should be equal, right? Then only we can say that is a valid, right? Second, if my subarray length is 3, as you can see in this case, my subarray length is 3, right? So here you have to see all the elements are equal or not. You can see all the elements are not equal. That means this is not following a second condition, right? And first condition is definitely not following because you can see the length is 3, it's only for 2 length. But let's see whether it's following third condition or not. The subarray consists of exactly 3 consecutive increasing element. When length is 3, then the subarray, this subarray should be consisting of exactly 3 consecutive increasing element. You can see this is 2, then 3, then 4. This is nothing but increasing, right? So this is nothing but this is following a condition, right? Third condition is following on this particular subarray. I hope you're getting this. I have a length of 3, right? And all these 3 are in increasing order. And the difference between the adjacent element is nothing but 1 only, right? 2, 3, 3 minus 2 is nothing but 1, 4 minus 3 is 1, right? And these are in increasing order. So now let's conclude this particular thing. I have divided my nums array into two subarray. The first subarray was having a 3 length. This first subarray was having a 3 length. So it should either follow this particular condition or this particular condition, right? And it is following the third condition, that is fine. And second subarray is of 2 length, so it should follow this particular condition. And you can see this two, this is also, this second subarray is following a first condition, right, where both elements are equal. So we can say we have partitioned this nums array into two subarray which are valid, right? So we can say our partition is also valid. So we are going to return 2 here. Now let's summarize this particular problem statement, then we are going to see, right? So problem statement say we are given one array, right? So we are given one array, this is problem statement. Now we have to partition this one array into some subarray, one or more subarray, right? Okay. Now after that, all the subarray which we got after partition, we have to check with these three conditions. If any of the condition following with this subarray, then we have to say fine. And if all the subarrays are following any of these three conditions, then we are going to return true, otherwise we are going to return false, right? You can say return true if the array has at least one valid partition, otherwise return false. So you can see I have divided into two subarray, and this first subarray was following third condition, and this second subarray was following first condition. So we are going to say both the array subarray was following at least one condition. So we are going to return true, right? I hope it makes sense. So let's see the example, then you will have a better understanding what we have to do. So in the example one, right? In the example one, we have this nums array, right? 4, 4, 4, 5, 6. So now we have to divide this nums array into sub array, right? So one thing I can say, I can do like this, 4, 5, 6, right? So if I'm doing like this, what I'm getting, I'm saying that this particular thing are satisfying because I know if the subarray length is 2, then they both are equal. You can see fine. And subarray length is 3, either they are equal or they should be in increasing order. So you can see these are not equal, but they are in increasing order. 4, 5, and 6. They are in increasing order with adjacent difference is 1. Right. So you can see 4, 5 minus 4 is 1, 6 minus 5 is 1. So these are following a condition. So that means we can divide this nums array into these two subarray, which is valid partition, right? So we have partition into two subarray which are valid. So we are going to return 2. If you take any other partition, so let's say I'm taking any other partition, 4, 4, 4, 5, 6, right? So you can see this is a valid, right? We have divided into two subarray, where first subarray is nothing but following a second condition. If there is 3 element, so fine, it is going to be valid. But the next thing, we have only 2 elements and they are not equal, right? This is not following, right? This is a false, this is true because it is following one condition. So we can say true and false is going to be always false because all the subarray should follow at least one of the condition, right? So we can say our partition is invalid, right? Here it is invalid. But as the program says, return true if array has at least one valid partition. So we don't care about all the partition, right? We just care about only one partition which is a valid. So we have already seen one partition here, 4, 4 and 4, 5, 6, right? This was the valid. So we know one partition is there which is valid. So we are going to return answer true, right? Now let's see the second example where we have 1, 1, 1, 2. So 3 times 1 and 2, right? So what we can do, we can say we can do like this because this is in a valid, this following one at least one condition, and left with 2, and this is not there is no condition made only one length of an array, right? So this is definitely going to be false. So you can see here we are getting a false. So let's divide into in another form. So I'm taking 1, 1 and 1, 2. So this is also false because this is true but this is false. So you can see guys, there is no way to divide this particular array, nums array, into some subarray where all the subarray are following at least one condition, right? So this means that there is no valid partition for this particular array. So we are going to return false. So there are no valid partition for this array, right? So the simple problem, guys. I hope you understood. We are given one array. We have to partition that array into some subarray where all the subarray should follow at least one condition out of these three conditions. If it is this case, then you have to return true. Otherwise, you have to return false. I hope it makes sense, right? If I'm a bit fast, just let me know in the comment, guys. I want to see whether I'm understand teaching you this particular thing in a fast manner. If my speed is fast, just let me know in the comment. I will try to slow this particular speed to teach you. But for now, I just think it is the right one, right? So let's see. Just, I need your feedback, guys, right? If I want to see whether I'm teaching a fast way or in a slow way, right? Now, guys, let's see the logic part. So in the logic part, what we are going to do, we are going to see how we can solve this problem, right? As we have seen the manually now, whether it is going to work or not, what the problem is, right? Now we are going to see in the logic part, how our code is going to work, right? How we can write a code which can solve all the test case, right? So in the logic part, we are going to take only first example where it is 4, 4, 4, 5, and 6, right? So what we are going to do here, we have taken a first example, nums. Now we are going to say fine. So we have to check whether this is having a at least one partition of this array is valid or invalid, right? So this is the only thing which we are gonna talk about, right? We are gonna concern, right? So what we can do, we can say, guys, each every possibilities. As you know, guys, we have three condition only, where we are focusing on two length or three length. If you little focus over here, two length or three length, there is only two possibilities, right? So we are saying that what we can do, if you little focus over here, so we are simply saying either we can take two length of sub-array or three length of sub-array. If you're taking four length of sub-array, that is invalid. If you're taking one length of sub-array, that is invalid, because we don't have any rule on that, right? We don't have any condition on that particular length of sub-array. We have a condition only on two length of sub-array or four length of three length of sub-array, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to divide into one two length or three length of sub-array first of all, right? So I can take either two length of sub-array or three length of sub-array, right? So let's say initially I'm taking a two length of sub-array, right? So I have taken a two length of sub-array. So left sub-array is nothing but what? 4, 5, 6. Fine. So this fine? 4, is this coming in valid condition? So let me just go over. So two length of sub-array says all the elements should be equal, right? In two length of sub-array, my all the elements are equal. I can say fine, it is fine, right? Fine. So if it is fine, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to say check for the rest of the thing. So if it is fine, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to say fine. Now my sub-array is left what? So I know it's hard to complex. So let's try to go from this particular phase, right? So initially this was this array. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a first phase where I'm taking of two length of subarray, right? So if I'm taking two length of subarray, what is the left subarray? 4, 5, 6. Because I've already taken two length of subarray. So I'm going to write here, which is I have taken 4, 4. So is it a valid? So 4, 4, let me write here. So I have taken this one. So is it a valid thing? 4, 4 is a valid. Yes, it is a valid, right? So we are going to proceed further. So now I have this particular length of an array. You can see it is a recursion, right? So now earlier we were having 4, 4, 4, 5, 6. Now we have only 4, 5, 6. Now again I'm going to take two length of sub array, because initially I can take two length. If that is false, then I will move to three length, right? So I'm taking two length of sub array. So if I take, let me just take a different color. Fine, I'm taking two length of sub array, right? So what I'm going to say, I'm going to say now I'm left with nothing but 6 only, right? Because I have taken a 4, 5. So 4, 5 come here. Now is this a valid 4, 5? No, it is not valid, because we know when two length of sub array is there, all the elements should be equal. So we are going to say directly return false here. So this is going to be false. We are not going to proceed further, right? But wait here. You have to wait on this part, because we have taken two length of sub array, but we can also take three length of sub array, right? So now the second condition is we are going to take three length of sub array, right? So if we take three length of sub array, means three numbers, so we are going to left with empty array, fine. And here we have taken three length of sub array, that means nothing but 4, 5, 6. Is this a valid? Check. If three length of sub array, what should be the case? Either all the elements should be equal, 4, 4, 4, or they should be in consecutive increasing order, right? Where the difference, adjacent difference should be 1. So you can see they are not equal, but they are in increasing order. Let's see the difference. 5, 4 is 1, 6, 5 is 1. That means this is also valid, following up at least one condition. So this is valid, and you can see you go to empty array. So whenever you're getting empty array, so you're going to return true. I hope it makes sense. So you're returning a true. So you can see this return true and this return false. True false, we are going to take OR operation. So true false is true. So this complete 4, 5, 6 is returning as true. And if this is returning a true, we don't care about the left side, because we are taking OR operator. So this will also going to return true. Right. But let's see again for your, we can say, clarity. We are going to not taking a two length of sub array, right? If we take three length of sub array here only, so I'm going to just give it here. So if I take three length of sub array, 4, 4, 4, right? And we are left with 5, 6 only, right? So you can see 4, 4, 4 is following at least one condition, where the length of array is 3 and all the elements should be equal, right? It is following a condition. Fine. Then we'll move to the next part, 5, 6. Here we can take either two length of sub array or three length of sub array. So you can see length is 2 only, so we can't take three length of sub array. We can only take two length of sub array. We got an empty array, and what array we have taken? 5, 6. Is this following a condition? 5, 6. No, there is, if length of an array is 2, they all should be equal, right? But it is a different. So we are going to say return false. So it is returning a false, and here is nothing, right? So it is returning a false. So this complete will return a false, right? And you can see this is 2, this is false. Let me write here false only, right? This 5, 6 is returning false, 4, 5, 6 is returning a 2, right? So now what we are going to do, we are going to say true and false, which is the valid. True and false. We are going to take over operation, right? So true and false is going to be true only, right? Because we know we want at least one valid partition. We don't want all the valid partition, right? We want there should be exist at least one valid partition. So we know there exists one valid partition. So we are saying true, and we are saying true and false is going to be true always. So we are going to get a true answer. So there is at least one valid partition. That valid partition is 4, 4 and 4, 5, 6, right? So this and this. So this is the valid partition, right? I hope it makes sense. So we have divided 4, 4, 4, 5, 6 array into 4, 4 and 4, 5, 6. And this is the simple recursion, guys. I know it's hard to understand, but for now, just keep in mind and try to see this particular image. After that, we will move to the code part. There we will understand each and every case, right? So now what we are going to, we know this will give a TLE. Why? Because we know what we know. We know, guys, this phase can be repeat again and again. You can see this phase can be repeat again and again, right? So this was the length of 6, right? 5. But if there going to be length of 100, and you can see the length of num's length is 10 is to 5. So if the length is going to be 10 is to 4 also, then you can see some of the nodes, some of the cases going to repeat again and again and again and again. So for that, what we can do, we can use a memoization. That is called a dynamic programming. If you are using a recursion, doing a memoization, that is nothing but we are using a dynamic program. And if there is a recursion, there should be at least tabulation approach. We can discuss about that, but for now, the video is going to be very long. But try to find yourself is how the tabulation approach is going to work for this particular problem, and that is also going to be really easy for us. If you know recursion, you know memoization, then you can easily make a tabulation as well, right? But for now, in this video, my main motive is to make teach you what is recursion and how we can use here recursion, right? Now, guys, let's move to the implementation part and let's see how we can implement this particular code, right? So, guys, I'm first of all with Python, right? So, what I'm gonna do initially, I'm gonna say I'm gonna have one function sol, right? And this function, I'm gonna start from where? Index 0, right? I'm gonna start from index 0 and fine. And index 0, what we can do? We can simply say if index is the last index, length of nums. So, if you understood this one part, right? If we got an empty array, means index is empty, right? If index is empty, so what we are going to do? We are going to say return directly true. Fine, I have, it makes sense. But if index is not empty, so what we are going to do? We are going to say fine, if index is not empty, first of all check that particular one. Take two element, right? First of all, divide this subarray into two subarray, or divide subarray into three subarray, right? So that we can only do when if index plus one is less than length of nums, right? If we are sure, guys, then if we are sure that there are at least two elements present, right? Then only we can take two length of subarray, right? It may be the case, this is the case, right? There is only one element present, 6, right? So we cannot take two length of subarray, right? So we are saying that if index plus one is less than length of nums, that means there are at least two elements present. So we are going to take two elements and we are going to check if nums of idx is equal to nums of idx plus one. I hope you are getting this. What is this meaning? Nums of idx is equal to nums of idx plus one means that both the elements are equal of a subarray. Then we are going to say fine. If this is the case, then move ahead. You can see here 4, 4 are equal. So we are moving ahead with the next element 4, 5, 6. So we are going to say move ahead. So move ahead in the sort function index plus 2 from index plus 2, right? Because index plus 1 we have already taken in subarray. So this we are going to store in something. So what? Let's give a name something. What we are going to give a name? So let's give a name first condition, right? So this is a first condition. I hope it makes sense, right? Fine. And after that we are going to say fine if it is case if index plus 2 is less than length of nums. You can easily tell me what is this meaning. This meaning that we have at least three element ahead. If we have at least three element ahead, then we can take three length of subarray, right? We have already checked for two length of subarray, right? Now we are going to check for three length of subarray. So if index plus 2 is less than length of nums, that means there are three element present ahead. So we are going to take three length of subarray. Now in three length of subarray, we have two conditions. Either they should be equal or they should be increasing one. So first we are going to give a name A. A is going to tell us that number of index should be equal to number of index plus 1 should be equal to number of index plus 2. So that means nothing but we can say this all three elements should be equal, right? Or second condition is nothing but nums of index plus 1 minus nums of index should be equal to 1 and nums of index plus 2 minus nums of index plus 1 should be equal to 1. This tells us that they are in increasing order and with the adjacent difference of 1, right? So B condition tells us that whether they are three number are in increasing order with the adjacent difference 1. A condition will tell us that all the elements, three elements are equal in order, right? If any of this match, if A or B, then we are going to say fine, call this function for index plus 3, move ahead, right? This is going to be our second case of length subarray 3, right? When we are taking a subarray 3, then when we are taking a subarray of 2 length, then we are going to check only this condition whether both elements are equal or not, right? So now we have already seen both of the case. Now we are going to say at the end if either first or true. You can see, guys, if you know this particular thing, first or true, right? If either this should be true or this should be true, because we are taking or operation, right? Or this side are giving us true or this side giving us true. Both any of this will gonna give us a result true, right? So if first or second, any of this is true, that means we are going to take we are taking or operation, right? So if we can say directly, our result is going to be first or second, right? Fine. And then we are going to say fine. If it is the case, then directly return result. As we are not doing a simple thing, I'm going to say here first comma second. Initially they are false, right? False, false. And here, instead of doing all these things, we can directly return this particular part, right? We can say first or second. And why I'm doing this, just let me give me a minute. I'm going to say sol index 0, right? And it's return this particular thing. Okay guys, I'm going to running this particular problem, and you can see that sketch will going to pass right here. Let's see. You can see both the sketch pass, but when I'm going to submit this problem, I will get a TLE, because I know there are going to be a lot of case where we're getting a repetition over there, and it will keep executing for them as well, right? So how we can avoid this TLE? We can use a memorization, and in the Python you can use a map, means dictionary, or you can use array, simple list, or simple thing you can use a cache if your recursion is based on this particular parameter, right? If you are going to do, because here what I have to do, I have to memorize it on the basis of this index, and I know this index is only coming in my function. So I can say just cache this particular function. If you're calling, seeing this function calling again, just return that particular value. So let's submit this problem. Now it will not gonna give us a TLE. And you can see guys, it successfully passed the test case, right? And submitted the problem. But definitely we are going to use a Python, or not in Python, in C++, Java and JavaScript. We are going to use a map to recursion to solve this particular memorization, right? Now let's see the next programming language. So the next programming language, which is we are going to say, let's give it a C++, right? Now, how we are going to do in C++? In C++, we are going to say, first of all, make a map. We are going to say map, which is using for memorization, right? Int boolean, not boolean, only bool, tp, right? Fine. And here we're going to call one function, sol 0, comma nums, and we're going to say return this particular thing. Fine. And here what we can say, we can simply say fine, create a function, bool, sol, int index, int, not in vector, right? Vector nums, right? So here, first of all, the base condition, if index is equal to length of nums of size, we reach to the last thing. There is no element present, so we are going to simply return true. But if it is not the case, there are some element present. First of all, we are going to check for 2 lengths of array, then 3 lengths of array. So for 2 lengths of array, we need to make sure that there should be at least 2 elements present, right? So if index plus 1 is less than equal to nums dot size, that means there are 2 elements present. We are sure now. So we can check if nums of index is equal to nums of index plus 1. That means both the elements are equal. This is the only condition for 2 and summary, right? Both the elements should be equal. If they are equal, then only you can say first is going to be solve of index plus 1, not 1, 2, right? And we can pass nums. And I'll tell you what is this. So if you are seeing this implementation right now without Python implementation, so this is new for you. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to say initially bool first and second. They are initially false, right? And why it is false? Because we know we are just making it by default false, right? So here what we are saying, if there is at least 2 elements present in the future, so we are going to take that particular 2 length of subarray and we are checking whether they are equal or not. If they are equal, then check the another elements, because if they are equal, 4 4 equal, then we are checking for 4 5 6, right? If they are not equal, then it will only be false, right? If they are not equal, so we are directly written false. This is the default value, right? Fine. In the second condition, we can take 3 length of subarray. If index plus 2 is less than nums dot size, this is making sure us that length of subarray, we have at least 3 length, right? We have at least 3 element, so that we can take 3 length of subarray, right? So we are going to say if there are going to be 2 conditions, right? In 3 length of subarray, you can see there are 2 conditions. Either all the elements should be equal, or all these 3 elements should be in increasing order with the adjacent difference of 1, right? So we can give a name bool a, which a is going to point into this condition. All the elements are equal, so we can say nums of I, nums of index plus index is equal to nums of index plus 1, and nums of index plus 1 is equal to nums of index plus 2, right? Okay, and second condition I'm going to give bool b, which is this condition. They should be increasing order with the adjacent difference of 1. Index plus 1 minus nums of index is equal to 1, and nums of index plus 2 minus nums of index, let me write here, nums of index plus 1 should be equal to 1. If this is the case, then only we can say this should be 2, right? Fine. So fine, this is done. Now we are going to say put a semicolon at the end, and we are going to get error. After that, we can say if any of these conditions satisfy with these 3 lengths of array, if A or B, then what we are going to say, we can say directly call this function sol for index plus 3 comma nums, and this we are going to store in second. Second is going to be method when we are taking 3 lengths of array. So you can see guys here, if this 3 4 4 was satisfied, so we are moving 4 5 6 length, same. So we are saying index plus 3. Index plus 3 will tell us that we have only taken 2 length of an element, move starting from the 5, right? 0 1 2 3 5, right? Fine. Once this is also done, then we come out from this thing. Then we're going to say, now check. Either we are getting true from the two lengths of array or three lengths of array. If any of this giving us true, then return true, right? So we're going to say bool result is going to be either first should be true or second should be true, right? If any of this true, result going to be true. Now we're going to say put this result in my map. So first of all, let's say return result. So this is returning a result, but now this will give a TLE because we are not memorizing. So for memorization, we are going to say in our DP, just put this particular index in this index, this result, right? And at the top, we are going to check without calling this function. We are going to check if dp.find this particular index is not equal to dp.end. If we have this key in our DP map, so we are going to say return dp of index, right? Now let's see whether it's working fine or not. And I hope guys it should work. Let's see. So you can see both the SKs passed. So let's try to submit this code, and hopefully I think it should work. It should submit, right? So it's taking a lot of time, but hopefully let's see. You can see guys, it successfully got accepted. Now let's move to the next program language, which is nothing but we can see Java. In the Java, what we are going to do, we are going to first of all we are going to define a map for memorization. So we can say hash map. Let me add hash map, and we can say integer boolean, and we can give a name dp, right? And we are going to initialize over here, right? So dp is going to be nothing but new hash map. Fine. After that, what we are going to do, we are going to say simply call a function return sol, where I'm going to take a 0 and we are going to pass this nums array, right? Fine. And let's define this function which is going to have a boolean data type. So we can say boolean sol, and here we're going to pass our index, then we're going to pass our nums array. Fine. And here we're going to say if our index is equal to nums dot length, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to simply say return true. If we go to this particular condition where we got an empty array, so we're going to simply say return true, right? But if it is not the case, so check in dp, right? If dp dot contains key this index, if dp has this particular index, then we are going to say return dp dot get this particular index. Fine. If it is also not in dp, then we have to recurse this particular part, right? So we can say either we can take two lengths of sub-array or three lengths of sub-array. So we are taking two lengths of sub-array, we have to make sure that there should be two elements present in the feature, right? So if index plus length is equal to nums dot length, so we can say there is two elements present in the feature. So now we can take this particular sub-array and we can check if nums of index is equal to nums of index plus 1, right? So if it is the case, that means that both element in my two length of sub-array is equal. That means it is a following a condition. So we can say our first should be equal to solve of index plus 2 common nums. So let me tell you what is this. So initially I'm going to define two variable here, right? Before calling this boolean first, which initially false, second, which initially false. So first will tell us that two length of sub-array. Yes, you can see at a time we can take only two things. Either we can take two length of sub-array or we can take three length of sub-array, right? So first will tell us that whether we are getting true from the two length of sub-array, this part, and second will tell us that whether we are taking when we are taking three length of sub-array, whether we are getting true or false, right? So initially both are false. We have given a default value, right? So when they will be true, they will be true when we for first means for two length of sub-array, when this is fine, when we are divided, this should be true. Both the elements should be equal, and this part is equal. This part is also following our valid partition. Then only we are going to say true, right? So we know that nums of index is equal to nums of index plus 1, means 4, 4 is same, right? Now we are saying that check for the 4, 5, 6, right? You can see 4, 4 is same. So now check for the rest of the element which is nothing but 4, 5, and 6, right? Same thing we are going to do for three length of sub-array. If index plus 2 is less than nums of length, means now we are sure that there are at least three elements present in the future. So now we are taking three length of sub-array, and in the three length of sub-array, we have two conditions, right? So either the element should be equal or element should be in increasing order with the adjacent difference of 1, right? So we are going to say boolean a, which will tell us that all the elements are equal or not, right? So nums of index is equal to nums of index plus 1, and nums of index plus 1 is equal to nums of index plus 2, right? And boolean b, which will tell us that all the elements are in increasing order with the adjacent difference or not, right? So nums of index plus 1 minus nums of index is it equal to 1, and nums of index plus 2 minus nums of index plus 1 is equal to 1. If it is the case, that means that what all the elements are increasing order with the adjacent difference 1. Now guys, we have taken both the condition. Then we are checking if a or b, if a or b exist, if a or b true in my three length of sub-array, if any of this condition true, That means it is fine. I have to call for the next element, right? So I'm going to say second is going to be nothing but sol index plus 3 comma nums, right? You can see if here if 4 comma 4 comma 4 is fine, so now we are checking for 5 comma 6 element only, right? So we are moving index plus 3, right? Fine. Now once this is done, we have taken both first and second first two length of subarray and three length of subarray. So now we are going to compare, right? You can see here first length two length of subarray was given true, three length of subarray was given false, right? But we are taking a true only. Why? Because we are taking OR operation. We want at least one valid partition, not all the valid partition, right? So we are going to say if our boolean result is going to be equal to first or second, any of this first or second, any of this will be true, then result will be true, right? So we are going to put in our this hash map. So dp dot put this with index on this index result, and at then once you have put, we have to return result, right? Let's see whether this working fine or not. All right, so let's see. I hope it should work, right? No, we got an error because solve is not a function, solv is a function, right? Now let's see. Okay, so you can see guys, both the rest is passed selected to submit this code. I hope it should also work, right? Let's see. And you can see guys, it successfully got submitted. Now let's move to the next programming language, which is nothing but we can say JavaScript. And in the JavaScript, first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to simply first of all take a length, node length, just define one function, const sol, and this function will take two parameter, not only two, only one parameter, index, right? And we can say fine if index is equal to nums dot length, right? So what we are going to do, if index is nums dot length, we are going to return 2, right? As you know that guys, if we got an empty array, so we're going to returning a 2, right? Fine. And after that, what we're going to do, we're going to say fine if index is not equal to nums dot length, check whether we have already discussed this particular part or not, right? So how we can check? We can check with the map, right? Hash map or dictionary. So we can say const dp is going to be new map, right? Here we can say if our dp dot has this particular index. Let me let me give it a space. All right, fine. Let me move it here. I have put a shortcut key by default by mistake, right? So if dp dot has this index, right? Then what we are going to do? We are going to say fine if dp dot has this index, we are going to say return dp dot get this particular index. I hope it makes sense, right? If dp dot has this particular index, return dp dot index. But if we haven't discussed this part as well, so now what we are going to do, we are going to say first of all take two length of array. If index plus 1 is less than nums dot length, so we're going to say fine, we have two length, at least two element present in the future. So we're going to take two length of subarray. Nums of index is equal to nums of index plus 1. Both elements are equal. That means following a condition. So first is going to be nothing but solve index plus we can say 2 common nums. So let me write here two variable guys first of all. That is nothing but first of all we can say what give a name boolean. So we can say let first is equal to 2. Not too fast, right? First is fast, second is also fast. So what this will tell us that by default, two length of subarray is fast, three length of subarray is fast. If there is two length of subarray present, if there is at least two elements present, so we can take two length of subarray. If both elements are same, because 4 and 4 are same, then move to 4, 5, and 6 next element. If they are same, if they are not same, then return directly fast, and which is nothing but our default value, right? Same thing for three length of subarray. If index plus 2 is less than nums of length, so this will make us sure that there are at least three elements present in the future. So we can take three length of subarray. Now for three length of subarray, we have two conditions, right? You can see here. The first condition is all the elements should be equal, right? And the second condition, all the elements should be in increasing order with adjacent difference of 1, right? So we can say our first condition is going to be that A is going to be all the elements should be equal. So we can check if nums of index is equal to nums of index plus 1 and nums of index plus 1 is equal to nums of index plus 2. Fine. And let B is equal to, which is nothing but second condition, where all the elements, three elements should be in increasing order with the adjacent difference of 1. So how we can check nums of index, right? Nums of index 1 minus nums of index should be equal to 1, and nums of index plus 2 minus nums of index plus 1 is equal to 1. If this is the case, that means all these three elements are in increasing order with the adjacent difference of 1. And if we are taking a three length of subarray, and if any of these conditions satisfy, if A or B satisfy, right? If A or B, any of this is true, then what we can say, we can simply say our second is going to be index plus 3 common nums all for the next part, right? You can see 4, 4, 4, it was true. So then we have moved to the 5, 6, right? So we can say fine. Now at the after this, we are going to say after this we are going to say what? We are going to say we have taken already this 2 length of survey and 3 length of survey. Now we are going to compare if 2 length of survey is true or 3 length of survey is true. If any of this true, return true, right? So we're going to say boolean, not boolean. Here we can say let result is going to be either first should be true or second should be true, and we're going to put in our dp. So dp dot set this index, this result, and return result, right? Let's call this function. So where we're going to call in the zero index, right? We are calling from zero and we're returning whatever this thing. Let's see whether it's working fine or not. I believe it should work, right? You can see both the tasks is passed. So let's try to submit this code, right? And I hope it should submit, right? Let's see. And you can see guys, it successfully got submitted. So guys, we have done the implementation with Python, C++, Java, and JavaScript programming language. You will get the solution in the description link, right? So guys, if you have any kind of doubt in the problem understanding part, logic part, and implementation part, you can directly write in the comment section. I'm always there to help you, right? And guys, if you find my this method is a fast, so I will try to do slow. But first of all, let me know in the comment how you are feeling with this particular method, right? Am I speaking of a little fast or is it a little slow, right? And guys, if you learned something new in this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Meet you in the next video.